Fahrenheit 451, the ignition temperature of a book. Hello everyone. Today I will try to explain you my feelings and thoughts about the book Fahrenheit 451. So before starting the video, I must mention that I am not a professional book reviewer and I'm just trying to express my feelings and try to know your thoughts as well. I'm just a university student who is eager to share his thoughts. Let me know your thoughts also on the comments below. Anyway, I hope that you will like my review. Before I tell you its story briefly, I want to mention about its genre. It's called speculative fiction. So you may ask, what is speculative fiction? According to another famous sci-fi writer, Neil Gaiman, speculative fiction is the world of writing the world of what doesn't yet exist. For the ones who didn't understand clearly, there are three assumptions that makes this genre possible. First one is what if? Like what if the world was submerged? Or what if there was an alien invasion? The second one is if only. Like if only I could fly. Or if only I could read minds. Last question is if it goes like this. Like if social media becomes widespread. Fahrenheit 451 is a if it goes like this story. So let me summarize you the story. Fahrenheit 451 takes place in the dystopian world where firefighters are assigned to start a fire, not to extinguish it, and where the reading is prohibited, and also where the houses of the people who were trying to read books are burned down with the books. Our main character is a firefighter, or in better words, a fire starter named Guy Montag. We observe that his character changes throughout the novel. At the beginning of our story, our character is fully adapted to this new world. He likes to burn things, just as his colleagues. One day, when he was returning to his home, he saw a girl named Clarissa McClellan and received positive energy from her. When he comes to home, he starts to see girls' face on everywhere, and he realizes that he's not happy in his work or relationship with his wife named Mildred. In Ray Bradburry's gloomy world, communication between people is as minimal as possible. People are stuck between four walls, and in the evenings, their homes are only lit by dim TV lights. For example, in the book, laughter can be heard from Clarissa's house, while all the houses around were dark and quiet. Next day, when Guy arrives at the fire station, the mechanical hound, which I think represents the government authority, snarls at him, but he doesn't understand the reason behind it. In that day, he asks his captain, named Betty, the question that Clarissa asked him at the time, which confused Guy also. The question was, before the buildings were fire resistant, was our job to burn the houses or not to extinguish them? When they take out the rule book and look at it, they see that the fire department was established in 1790 to burn books, which is British influence, and the first fireman was Benjamin Franklin. There were five main rules in this book. 1. Act quickly when alarmed. 2. Start the fire as soon as possible. 3. Burn everything. 4. Report back to fire station immediately. 5. Stand by for further alarms. That day, they get a denunciation that some woman hid some books in her house. They go to that house to burn that house. While firefighters are there, they tell the woman to escape from the fire, but the woman burns herself with her books. During that fire, pile of books falls on Guy, and he manages to save one of them. When he comes back to his home, he learns that Clarissa was dead and her family moved out. Learning of Clarissa's death and woman's burning herself in front of his eyes makes him a rebellious character. Suddenly, he remembers a professor that can help him, who runs away from him 20 years ago, named Faber, and he asks him for his help. They make a plan about sending books to firefighters' houses secretly, then report them. And also, Faber asks Guy to put a listening device to his ear that can listen where Guy goes. During these events, Guy doesn't go to work, and one day, when he reads a poem from a book to his wife's friends, Betty learns about it, and when he comes back to his work, they get a denunciation. They go to burn Guy's house without Guy's knowledge with Guy. When they arrive, the guy realizes the situation. Then he kills Betty and burns Mechanical Hound with a flamethrower, and knocks another two firefighters with that also. Then he escapes from there and becomes a criminal that the police are looking for. At the same time, war breaks out in the country, but people are told it will be a very easy war and they will be victorious as usual. First place that comes to Guy's mind after he did all of those things was Faber's house, of course. There, he learns from Faber that a group of educated people, like professors or doctors, are living like hobos on the railroad, being hunted by the police. He realizes that he must join this community, and before he leaves from Faber's house, he learns from a TV that a mechanical hound that can identify 10,000 smells is tasked with catching him, then asks from Faber to pack his old unused clothes up so that Guy wears Faber's clothes to change his body odor. And he also tells Faber to clean everywhere Guy touches so that Faber doesn't get caught either. He starts to run from police. Then he goes into the river, bathes, and puts on Faber's old clothes so that the hound can't catch him. When he disappears, without a trace, he sees a fire. When he looks at the fire for the first time, he notices the heating side of the fire, not the burning side of it. And then he meets the minority Faber told him about. In this minority, every man is assigned to memorize famous books or one of books' parts, and then they burn those books so they make sure that police can't find any evidence when when they arrest them. Their aim is to help society to create a more advanced awareness by remembering the past after this order is destroyed. When they were at the rails, they see that their city is bombed and destroyed in front of their eyes. And then they decide not to hide anymore and to put their goals into practice. And Montag suddenly finds himself at the head of this movement. And that was the end of our story. So, in the book, I think, Mechanical Greyhound and there were jets which interrupts this story and frightens Guy and the people around him, symbolizes state authority. These things watches us every time and they were aware of our every move. It was like the Big Brother in 1984, which is also a great novel written by George Orwell. In the world of this book, Betty explains, everything starts with the invention of mass media. In the beginning, the books appealed to fewer people, but later on, they gained populace thanks to things like radio and television, and therefore they became simpler. Everything started to be reduced to a fast ending. Because of the acceleration of life, people couldn't find an hour to devote to thinking. They couldn't find an hour to philosophical thoughts. Everyone has turned into robots who come from home to work and cannot think and cannot use their minds. In addition, as the population increased, In addition, as the population increased, the number of minorities also increased, and the books began to be written in a way that wouldn't offend any minorities. Now, only comics and sex magazines that made people happy were sold. Man was now only happy, and everything that would disturb one's happiness was prohibited. Since no one read anything different, everyone knew the same things, and different ideas couldn't be produced. And this led to the formation of a society where everyone was equal as a good thing, but they were also sane. Considering that today, instead of reading books, people read the summary of them. A number of books that want to raise real awareness in people is also decreasing. Everyone is wasting large part of their lives with social media, with mass media like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or they lose their time in internet or television. In fact, although Ray Bradbury wrote the novel in 1953, he managed to predict our day from certain angles, and this makes this novel a timeless masterpiece. These topics in the book caught my attention. If you write your ideas, we can in the comments we will make a good setting that can help us about the analysis of the book. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.